Hey everybody, it's Darrell with the Back 40 broadcast, meeting you here every Wednesday, 10:30 a.m. to give you a nugget or a nudge, supporting you in creating your second half of life as your best half. If you're coming to us for the first time, make sure down below you grab your top 10 tips for a radical second half. And come every Wednesday, we're here to support you. And as Frank Sinatra sings, the best is yet to come. Babe, won't it be fine? And today I want to talk about, I sent out my newsletter. It comes out at 10 a.m. Pacific time, just before the broadcast. So if you want to get on that list, you can get a heads up of what we're going to talk about. What I want to talk about today is radicality. I don't know that that's actually a word, but I get to make words up. But the whole idea of radical, and if you look at the word itself, and the reason I'm bringing this up is because in the second half, as we move into our 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, you know, it's funny. I was looking for some quotes around this, and I found a quote by Winston Churchill that said something like, "If you're not radical in your younger years, you have no heart. And if you are not conservative in your older years, you have no brains." I don't know. Winston's got a lot of wisdom. And yet that's not necessarily the message that we are promoting in the Back 40. What we're really about here is in the second half, you know, taking on that you have yet to do what you came here to do. And really turning around this whole societal conversation that says, you know, you go up, 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 and then you get to your 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s, and you go down, down, down. You know, that's the typical societal message, you know, that we're down and out. But what we're promoting here is an idea of being up and out. And if you have yet to do what you came here to do, then there's so much more to learn. There's so much more to grow into. There's so many more risks to still take. And so the tendency, yes, is to become conservative and kind of close in and know who you are and the way life is and become very, I like to use the word stodgy, but to become kind of stuck. And so what we want to talk about today is this idea of radical, which, you know, depending on the way the word is used today, it elicits lots of different meanings. But the point is, you know, most people think of the word radical as the extremities, you know, being extreme. If you go look it up, though, and I looked it up in 3 different online dictionaries, you find that the first definition is going to the root. It's going to the most fundamental aspect of something, not the extremities, but the most fundamental aspect. Now, sometimes it is extreme to go to the most fundamental aspect because so much of life is kind of on this normie, you know, level, as opposed, you know, like what's normal, what's average, as opposed to what's really, you know, at the fundamental aspect of something. And so you hear people use words like radical forgiveness, phrases like radical happiness. We like to use the word radical restart. And what that is really about getting to the fundamentals of something. So, you know, it's interesting when it comes to life, like I said, we're kind of going at this normal pace and keeping things kind of in the comfort zone and normal. And a lot of times it takes a radical wake up to really shift something in our life because we get a thermostat. We get a thermostat in our relationships that kind of stays about the same, or we get a thermostat in our finances, or a thermostat in our health and fitness, or our interests in our career. We get a thermostat in that, and we don't really get too far outside of the range. So here's the question. You know, I'm sure many of you have seen this, where people maybe have a radical wake up that has them look at life totally differently. Like they have a near-death experience or they have a big health crisis. A friend of mine one time had a heart attack, and he said, you know, I just hug everybody a lot more because things are more precious. The question is, though, do we have to wait? Do we have to wait until something from the outside wakes us up? Or can we take charge? Can we actually proactively, what I call foment? Go look up the word. It's a cool word, F-O-M-E-N-T, foment. Can we foment a crisis so as to move forward and get moving on something, as opposed to waiting until the wake-up call? Because you know what? At some point, there's going to be a ending call. And if we haven't had our wake-up calls or even created them, there's just going to be a lot of missed opportunities. And again, if you have yet to do what you came here to do, then when is the time? Right? So, you know, you may want to look for yourself. Like, what are the areas that you have been nattering on? And I've got 3 tips, by the way, for how to invite crisis. Like, actually to invite it so that you're in charge of it versus it took you by storm. But, you know, it might be in the area of career. You know, if you knew that this job you've been hating, or this business you've been running that you've been hating, is absolutely going to close in a month, you know, that the job's going to be over, what would your career search efforts be like today? You know, if you knew that you were going to, you know, have a huge health crisis next week, what would your diet and your sleep program and your fitness be like this week? Do you think you would maybe take it on to head something off at the pass? You know, and what if you were just going to croak? What if you were going to croak pretty soon, maybe, you know, at least within the year? What would that bucket list look like? What would your fulfillment activities, purposeful fulfillment look like starting today, if you knew that was going to happen? So again, this is a mind game, of course, right? And it's a mind game maybe worth playing, especially if we're here to fulfill on something that we have yet to do and to become something we have yet to be. Here's a few quick tips on it. Number 1, identify. Identify that nattering thing. You know, what is it? Is it, what's the thing you've been thinking about and pondering? You know, one of the things my partner and I, Alexandra, have been looking at is sleep. Like, we have all the logic in the world that would tell us we have too much to do, so we sleep less. And yet, all the experts, health experts, you know, inspirational people out there say we need at least 7 hours a day. And so we've really started to look at that and go, okay, well, the logic tells us this in the moment, and yet the experts say this. And so what are we going to do about that? You know, are we going to keep letting our logic rule, or are we going to take it on? Like, because if next week we had a health issue, then we may have really thought that, you know, it would have been smart to go be getting that sleep. So whatever it is for you, is it a health? Is it your fitness routine? Is it a book that you're going to write one day? You know, is it a nonprofit that you're going to be involved in or support one day and devote your time? You know, what is it the relationship? Is it either getting into one, or is it doing some work on the one that you're in? So identify that nattering thing that just keeps going on, staying the same way. Then, this is a simple one, die. Now, don't go kill yourself, and we don't have any we have legal disclaimers here, right? This is not advice. We are not offering psychological advice here. I want you in your mind, though, to consider it was all over. You know, what if it was all over, you know, tomorrow, next week, you know, and all those good reasons, all those pressing things that you had as reasons why you didn't take that action, why you didn't move on that thing. What if all those reasons just don't even matter now? You know, what if, you know, that game's over? You know, for those things that you had on your list, or the things that you were always going to do that you didn't do, how does it feel now? Or if maybe you croaked because you didn't do the thing that you had on your list, like get enough sleep or do that health routine or your diet. How does that feel? So just simply croak and then revive. So you just had a near-death experience. You know, did you see a tunnel? Did you see light? You know, were you floating over your body for a little bit? You know, whatever your experience, you just got another chance. Revive. Revive and actually consider that, you know what? How important is all of this other stuff considering that one thing? That thing that you've been nattering about. Revive. Take it on. I really invite you to just play with this little 3-step process. Do it with one thing first, and then maybe pick up some others, but just identify one thing, the most juiciest thing that you've been nattering about. I want you to just die after you've considered all the good reasons why you haven't taken it on, and then revive and really take on that you have another chance. Look, folks, we don't know. We don't know when we're out of this game. And so while we're in this game here in the Back 40, we're really creating that this next half, this second half, be the best half, because we really believe you have yet to do what you came here to do. And that includes then expanding, starting to take some radical steps. So I hope this supports you in your own mindset around what it is to create some radicality in your life, even today. And I want to give you a heads up, if you're watching this now, I guess for the next couple weeks, go to bit.ly/BF because we have our next Back 40 Infuse program coming up soon. So we would love to have you and support you in creating your radical, playful, passionate, purposeful second half. Thanks for watching. Look forward to seeing you again next week. And grab your top 10 tips and go be radical. Have a great week.